Hey everyone, my name is Aaru, and today I'll be talking to you about some of the problems that we face as a result of technological advances and how we can solve them through innovation. We all know how technology has transformed the world. Life today is much better for all of us as a result of many inventions since the 19th century. The Industrial Revolution brought various technological solutions that significantly enhanced our well-being by drastically increasing life expectancy, literacy, and overall quality of life. The comfort and ease with which we meet our needs in our modern-day society can be attributed to those inventions over the last 2 centuries. The light bulb, the internal combustion engine, and the telephone are just a few of the many inventions that are still vital to our daily lives today. However, some of the problems that we face today have emerged from excessive reliance on those same inventions. Our world's temperature is skyrocketing, and the average global temperature over the past 30 years is the hottest in centuries. Climate change is progressing at an alarming rate, and this increase in world temperature has led to more flooding and natural disasters. Mass production that began in the 1800s has led to increased carbon emissions and put a heavy strain on the Earth to maintain ideal living conditions. Natural disasters and pollution are threatening humans and animals, as well as causing billions of dollars in economic loss. Yet, many of us prefer to ignore the various problems that technological advancement and industrialization have caused. The importance of protecting our Earth cannot be overstated. Now, I'm sure you've all heard about rising sea levels, increased temperature, and everything else 100 times already. However, some of the most influential people in the world, including the President of the United States himself, continue to disregard the overwhelming evidence that climate change has already had a major impact on our world. While the extent of innovation in the fields of artificial intelligence and self-driving cars is impressive, the lack of urgency to solve the most critical problem facing our species today is shocking. Instead, environmentalists are still unable to convince many people that climate change does in fact exist. Inventors, scientists, and others around the globe are always looking for new ideas and inventions that they hope can change the world for the better. While it is important to build and explore new technologies, many of our current world problems do not require any new ideas or inventions. They simply require us to harness our existing technologies in a new and innovative way. In a constantly changing world, innovative approaches are the easiest solutions for our problems. Today, I will share details of 3 potential innovative solutions to environmental issues that simply require us to harness our existing technology in a new way. Firstly, one of the largest problems facing our world today is the ever-growing need for energy as a result of rapid development in third world countries. According to an estimate from 2013, the world uses approximately 18 terawatt hours of energy every year, which is equivalent to burning 5 billion barrels of oil or 1 billion tons of coal. To put this into context, Canada, the 5th largest producer of oil in the world, extracts about 1.5 billion barrels of oil every year. While obviously not all of our energy comes from burning fossil fuels such as oil and coal, we do use other substances as well as renewable sources to create energy. However, right now, approximately 80% of our energy comes from burning fossil fuels, which contributes significantly to climate change. In fact, a UN study concluded that we must cut down our greenhouse gas emissions considerably by 2030 to have any chance of reversing climate change. This is why more and more attempts are being made to utilize wind turbines and solar panels to create energy from renewable or green sources. But what if we could completely eliminate the need for burning fossil fuels? What if we could go 100% green when it comes to generating energy? This would no doubt solve countless issues in our environment. Carbon emissions would decrease drastically, allowing us to slow down the warming of our Earth and to preserve our polar ice caps so that sea levels do not rise. In turn, this will help maintain the current temperature of our oceans so that the frequency of tropical storms reduces. Now, you might be thinking that obviously this would be great, but how is this supposed to happen? Well, here's one idea that has intrigued scientists and scholars around the globe. The Sahara Desert is the largest desert in the world, covering more than 9 million square kilometers of land in Africa. It is also one of the hottest and driest deserts in the world, with temperatures year-round being over 30 degrees Celsius, and these temperatures often exceed 50 degrees Celsius. As you can imagine, a lot of energy from the sun reaches this area of land. That is why scientists believe that putting solar panels on just 1% of the Sahara Desert could create enough energy to power the entire world, which would completely eliminate our need for burning fossil fuels. The amount of energy that reaches this area of land can be harnessed and used to our advantage. As a result, carbon emissions from burning fossil fuels would decrease drastically, and we could preserve those resources and put them to better use in the future. Obviously, this is currently at the stage of early ideation and still requires a lot of work and negotiation between countries for this innovative approach to be implemented. However, several projects have begun to put more and more solar panels in this area of land, and we can expect to see a large amount of energy from the Sahara in the future. Another excellent example of innovative thinking relates to reducing the problem of plastics that have been increasingly polluting our oceans. We use plastic excessively in our everyday lives. The chairs you're sitting on contain plastic. The water bottles you drink from contain plastic. Even the clothes you wear often contain plastic. The problem with plastic is that it takes up to 1,000 years to biodegrade. You may be surprised, but this means that every piece of plastic ever produced still exists. Being so hard to get rid of, plastic often ends up polluting the ocean. More than 300 million tons of plastic are produced every year, and out of that, approximately 10% of it ends up in the ocean. This plastic destroys underwater ecosystems and kills thousands of fish, seabirds, and marine mammals. In fact, there is currently so much plastic in the ocean that more than 40% of the ocean surface is covered in plastic. And that accounts only for the small amount of plastic that remains at the ocean surface, with the remaining 70% sinking to the bottom of the sea. Many of you might have heard about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, a massive region in the Pacific Ocean that is effectively a massive dump. This dump has actually given birth to two other large trash masses, the Western and Eastern Pacific Garbage Patches. Scientists estimate that the Eastern Garbage Patch is more than 2 times the size of Texas. To combat these massive patches accumulating in the ocean, Boyan Slat, a Dutch inventor and entrepreneur, founded a company called Ocean Cleanup with the goal of collecting and removing 90% of the plastic in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch by 2040. His innovative approach is to use a 2,000-foot-long barrier designed to follow the currents of the ocean and collect many of the larger pieces of plastic. Now, you might think that this is a simple idea because it's like using a net to fish out the plastic. But it is really much more intricate than that. The barrier has a 3-meter deep skirt below it, ensuring that plastic cannot go underneath it, and it is tall enough that plastic cannot go over. Also, it is completely autonomous, as it relies on the wind, waves, and currents of the ocean to guide it. Despite all of the features put in place by the ocean cleanup crew, there were a few concerns about the project. The two main concerns were that the barrier would interfere with the path of ships and could potentially hurt marine animals. To address these issues, the crew implemented the use of GPS, anti-collision beacons, navigation signals, and radar reflectors to ensure that all collisions would be avoided. The crew then turned their focus onto protecting sea life by installing several other features. Firstly, the screen in the water is not a net, meaning that sea life cannot get tangled in it. Secondly, because the screen is impenetrable, it actually creates a barrier. It creates a current that pushes sea life down beneath the screen so that it can get to the other side. And finally, the barrier moves very slowly so that animals can simply just swim away. As you can tell, this idea has been very well thought out, ensuring that it does not hurt marine animals or interfere with the path of ships while still completing its intended task. This innovation has significant potential to change our oceans for the better. The barrier launched from San Francisco last year, and we are still eagerly awaiting its results. Finally, let me share an example of innovative thinking that can dramatically change our approach to combating wildfires. Wildfires, like all natural disasters, are devastating to the communities affected by them. They cause damage to property, take millions of dollars away from the economy, and endanger the lives of many people. Many of you might recall the deadly wildfires that occurred last year in Northern California. Wildfires raged from August to November, destroying almost 2 million acres of land. The fires caused more than $3.5 billion in damages, costing the Californian and U.S. economy a huge sum of money. But California is no stranger to these wildfires. In fact, wildfire season is expected every year in September and October, similar to tornado season in the central U.S. or hurricane season on the tropical coastline. Right now, these deadly fires are being combated the traditional way. Firefighters cutting bushes and trees from the path of raging fires and using hoses to spray water onto the flames. More recently, helicopters and planes have been used to spray water and fire retardant onto the flames below. However, this is clearly not doing the job effectively or efficiently. But there is a solution. Recently, engineering students at George Mason University in Virginia have developed a new way to put out fires. Their machine uses sound waves, yes, sound waves, to separate oxygen from air molecules and effectively extinguish the fire. Right now, this machine can only put out small controlled fires, but is being developed and improved so that eventually it can put out large fires as well. Once it has been perfected for large-scale use, there may be no need for firefighters to risk their lives or for thousands of gallons of water to be transported. Instead, fires would be extinguished quickly, damages would be contained, and expenses would decrease as well. Imagine if those $3.5 billion in annual fire losses in the US were put into the education system or invested in the economy instead. For these reasons, there is considerable hope that this innovative approach will provide a better solution to the growing problem of wildfires. In our world today, we are facing many problems that cannot be solved easily. They will take years, possibly decades, to solve. But in our constantly changing world, the best way to approach these problems is through innovation. Generally, when we think of innovative approaches, we think that we need some revolutionary new technology. We don't. All we need to do is harness our existing technology in a new and innovative way. Just like putting solar panels in the Sahara Desert, cleaning up the ocean with a moving barrier, or putting out fires with sound. Ladies and gentlemen, our world is at a critical point where we must choose our fate. We must save our environment and our world before it is too late. And the best way to do this is through innovation. So, what is your innovative solution? Thank you.